This video is for families who sometimes feel like autism content was not made for them. The parents of children with higher support needs, the caregivers who are not just advocating alongside their child, they are advocating for them completely every single day. Know that I see you, and this one is for you. Now, so much of the conversation around autism advocacy a lot of times focuses on teaching our kids to speak up for themselves. And I have made a lot of content about that. Now, that conversation is important and it is necessary. But for families of autistic individuals where support needs are higher and communication may look very different, advocacy will look different also. It is much deeper, it is more complex, and it carries a weight that is unlike anything else in the parenting experience. So today I want to talk about what advocacy actually looks like for these families with uh, autistic children and individuals with higher support needs across every stage, from school age children all the way through young adults aging out um, of the system. And I want to speak to both parents and educators because it takes both to get this right. Now, first, let's be very honest about what makes advocacy different at these levels. Now, for many autistic individuals with higher support needs, communication is not always verbal. It could be verbal in very limited ways that may not always translate easily in a school or medical or any type of setting. That means the parent or the caregiver becomes the voice, not as a temporary measure until the child is ready, but as an ongoing, essential, irreplaceable role. And that is enormous. That's huge. It means walking into every IEP meeting, knowing your child's preferences, their triggers, their moments of joy, their communication attempts, and making sure that every person in that room understands those things too. It means pushing back when a placement is wrong. It means fighting for augmentative and alternative communication, AAC devices, and supports when the system is slow to provide them. It means making sure your child is never reduced to a behavior to be managed, but it is always seen as a person with preferences, feelings, and a voice, even when that voice does not come with words. Now, for educators, this means going beyond that IEP document. It means learning how this child communicates. It means paying attention to their nonverbal cues, their patterns, the moments of connection. It means treating the parent as the expert on their child because they are the expert. So now we're going to look at advocacy for school age children. Now, for school age children with higher support needs, advocacy at the school level is generally about three things: placement, communication, and participation. We are going to look at placement first. Your child has the right to be educated in the least restrictive environment appropriate for their needs. That looks different for every child, and what is least restrictive for one child may not be for another. Push for the placement that actually fits your child, not the one that is most convenient for the school system. Now let's look at communication. If your child uses an AAC device, a picture card, sign language, or any other alternative communication system, that system must be supported and honored at school. Advocate fiercely for this. A child who cannot communicate is a child whose needs cannot be met. A child who cannot communicate is a child whose needs cannot be met. Every child deserves a way to make themselves heard and known. Participation. Higher support needs does not mean lower expectations for inclusion and belonging. Your child deserves to be part of the school community in whatever way is appropriate and meaningful for them. Advocate for opportunities to connect, to participate, and to be seen as a full member of their school. It is very important to do so. Now we're going to look at advocacy for teenagers. So as children with higher support needs, they move into the teenage years, advocacy starts to shift and the stakes get higher. This is the time to start having serious conversations about transition planning. What does life after high school look like for your teenager? What are their preferences? Even if those preferences are communicated non-verbally, what brings them joy? What do they find meaningful? These questions, all of them matter, and the answer should be shaping the transition plan in the IEP. For educators, this means moving beyond academic goals and thinking about functional life skills, community participation, and vocational exploration. What can this teenager do? What do they enjoy? How do we build a bridge between where they are now and a life of meaning and dignity after graduation? Now, for parents, start connecting with adult services, your state's developmental disabilities agency, and Medicaid waiver programs. The wait lists are long. The earlier you start, the more options your teenager will have when they age out of the high school system, out of the school system, period. Um, and that is very important. And critically, start having conversations about supported decisions making versus guardianship. At 18, your child legally becomes an adult. Now, understanding the options available to you and choosing the one that honors your child's autonomy as much as possible is one of the most important advocacy decisions that you will make. Now, let's look at advocacy for young adults. When an autistic young adult with higher support needs ages out of the school system, the service is clipped, it's real. And it hits hard. Everything we talked about in our earlier video about what happens after high school, it applies here, but the stakes are even higher and the gaps are even wider for individuals with higher support needs. Your advocacy at this stage is about three things: services, safety, and dignity. And let's look at services. Fight for the adult services your young adult is entitled to: supported employment, day programs, residential support, behavioral services. Know your state system, know your rights, and do not accept there's nothing available as a final answer. Connect with other families. Find your local ARC of Developmental Disabilities organization. Build your network. Build your network. Now let's look at safety. Adults with higher support needs are at an elevated risk for exploitation, abuse, and neglect, especially as they move into adult settings outside of the home. If that's what you choose, advocate for safeguards. Ask questions about the programs and placements your young adult enters. Trust your instincts. Know your child. You know your child. So trust your instincts. Now let's look at dignity. This one This is the one that matters the most and the one that is most often overlooked. Your young adult deserves a life of meaning, connection, and joy, not just a life of this services, that services, and that service. Advocate for programs that see them as the whole person. Push back against anything that reduces them to a diagnosis or behavior. And never stop believing that their life has value and possibility, regardless of their support needs. To every parent and caregiver of an autistic child, teen, or young adult with higher support needs, to all of you all that are watching this, I want you to hear this directly. What you do every single day is extraordinary. The advocacy you carry is often quiet, often without recognition. It changes your child's life in ways that will never be fully measured. You are not just a parent, you are a lifeline, a voice, a protector, and an expert on the most important person in the world to you. Keep going, keep advocating, and know that this community sees you and honors you. It honors everything that you are carrying each and every single day. Now, if this video resonated with you, please share it with a family who needs to feel seen today, and drop in the comments what is one thing you wish more people understood about advocating for an autistic individual with higher support needs. I want to hear from you. I read every single comment, and I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe for more autism and special education support every single week. And as always, I will see you in the next one.